welcome to our program, Jones and Company. I'm your host, Christian Jones, sitting in for Brian Jones, and we're joined by Mr. Godfrey Enyas, who is once again our co-host on the program. And we're joined by a special guest this evening. We have with us the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Clayton Fernanda. Mr. Fernanda, welcome to the program, and I'd like to congratulate you on your new appointment as Commissioner of Police of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Yes, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and I bring greetings on behalf of the men and women of the Royal Bahamas Police Force. Thank you very much, and good evening, Bahamian.
Since taking the leadership of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, Mr. Fernanda, and well before that, we've had an issue with crime in the Bahamas with more elevated or more instances of crime affecting people within the society. There is a sincere fear and trepidation by many members of the community as crime seems to somewhat escalate out of control in the country. What do you think is the main factors that have caused this level of crime in the country right now?
Well, as in recent times, we have noted the uptick, especially the murders, and they were happening and continue to happen right within our communities where people live. So most of us come from especially the inner city. I grew up in the inner city of Baintown, and you could see that the murder count continue to climb. That is very concerning to us, and the Bahamian people is outraged and want to know what is happening. Based on as we move and investigate these matters and analyze the situation, we realize that there's a gang war out there, and we believe that this gang war is fueled by drugs, and then it's a retaliation. You find that these young individuals between the ages of 17 and 25, they're the young men who continue to commit these violent acts, and they are being pressured or recruited, what we call the senior criminals, the guys who was already involved in crime, the life of crime, and continue to be involved in the life of crime, and they're recruiting these young men and putting gun in their hand and causing them to commit these violent acts. We continue to be out there in our communities. We have identified the hotspots. One of our hotspots was right in the grove that we call Angliston, and in the Baintown area. We know that that's where the majority of the murders continue to happen. Since then, we have mobilized a special team that we call Ceasefire, Operation Ceasefire, which was handpicked. And they are presently out there, day out, night out, moving through identifying these individuals who is responsible for these murders. We have been doing a good job at it. We have slowed it down. If you could recall, sometimes you have 2 a day, 2 a night, but if you could see the trend now, it has slowed down, but it's still, one life lost is too much. So the operation team continue to move and identify these individuals. We could solve any matter that comes to our attention. I believe we can solve any matter there, but the bottom line is we want to prevent these things from happening. So we have more boots on the ground, and we have identified the hot spots, and we have flooded the street with saturated patrol with a view of, if anything happened, we'll be able to catch them or prevent it from happening.
Commissioner, I have a little slightly different outlook. So
Go ahead.
I believe too much responsibility is put on the police.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I believe crime is a social problem based in these communities,
Yes.
and it stems from the fact that many of the young people in this day and time, different from my time, and I know it's probably different from your time.
Yes.
They're not properly socialized.
Yes.
And so they resort to this life of crime.
Yes.
But I grew up in a community,
Yes.
and I know you probably
Yes.
grew up in a community.
Yes.
Christian is a little younger.
Yes.
And it's the community
Yes.
That as often said, the standard for behavior.
But Dr. Inyas, as we always say, growing up, it takes a village to bring a child, to upgrow a child. And I believe that. And that's what we all know
Yeah.
growing up in our times. And it's the same view with respect to crime. Everybody have to come together. It's a multifaceted approach. With the community, the law, we as law enforcement, we take the lead, but you're looking at the community, the churches, the teachers,
Yes.
the parents.
Yes.
It starts with the parents.
Yes, yes.
In trying to still respect and to always know where your child is and what they're doing, who they're hanging on. Show some care and some love for your children. But it takes a village, as I said, to raise a child. And it's the same concept when you're talking about dealing with this crime situation. So we welcome the partnership, and you see we always appeal to members of the public to please work along with your police.
I believe it was, I'm not sure which commissioner was it Mr. Bartlett or someone, who started urban renewal.
It's Mr. Paul
Paul Farquharson.
back
Right.
then, yes.
And what role is urban renewal playing today, Commissioner?
You know, government comes in and change, and all of them have a different mandate.
Right.
Mr. Farquharson, Paul Farquharson, with respect to urban renewal, we took that to another level. We was able to get 3 awards with urban renewal.
Yeah.
3 awards. We have since now building on urban renewal. That is high on my agenda. That is high on my agenda. Since taking office, I had a number of different organizations, churches, paid courtesy call, and all of them have different programs they're trying to introduce. But I believe urban renewal, if everyone line up under urban renewal under one umbrella, because we are working the community, all of those excellent initiatives that they brought to the table, we need to come together on one umbrella and make it work. It's not you or you. We are fighting for one goal, and if we come together, unity is strength, and that's what I'm trying to bring to the table with all of the civic group to line up with our urban renewal officers who continue to be in the various communities reaching out. That presence is so important. You will know what is going on in your community. That's where you get most of your intel. Once you build that relationship within your community, man, you can do some great things.
I've noticed, for example, on Lewis Street, the old Coakley Homestead
Yes.
is an urban renewal center.
Yes.
On Reverend Sanders Drive, there's another center, and they're very conspicuous.
Yes.
And I think that is good.
Yes, it is good, and as I said, you're looking at the different stakeholders. You're looking at social service. You're looking at people from the environment, and because the community, in terms of cleaning up, it goes bigger than just reaching the kids, but you're looking at the environment to ensure that the bad guys are not hanging out where they are hiding their dope. Let's clear those areas to make it much cleaner, and everybody will be, nobody is hiding.
Right.
Everything is open.
Commissioner Fernando, when we look at the relationship between the public and the police, and the former commissioner would have alluded to the fact that, of course, we know during the COVID-19 pandemic, or the surge in the pandemic, when we had lockdowns,
Yes.
that the police were used to enforce the laws. And the former commissioner would have alluded to this feeling of the public of some sort of mistrust in the police,
Yes.
seeing as it turned into somewhat of a dynamic of oppression,
Yes.
of the police being the footmen that were carrying out or were enforcing these laws that a lot of the public thought were arbitrary.
Yes, yes.
Do you think that feeling exists within the country?
Well, you know, that I'm aware of, a number of complaints, and even today you're still getting a number of complaints. There was a lot of kickback during the pandemic with that. The police, they ought to be commended. They work very hard, and all of the nurses and doctors and all of them, we were hand in hand with them, working and trying to keep the community safe and assisting wherever possible. We were trying to enforce the law, and you had some people just don't care and wasn't showing no level of respect. And so we are there to enforce and to ensure that everything goes smooth. And we just was doing just that,
Right.
just trying to enforce the law. But sometimes it's your approach to situations. And I believe in that. And respect is a two-way street. And sometimes it's your approach that if your approach is wrong, then you will have a problem in there. So I always encourage my officers in any situation, let's try to be respectful, and because respect is a two-way street. Let's try to be respectful, your approach, and that's the kind of results you will get. If your approach is wrong, you're going to create a monster. If your approach is neutral on one page to cause the individual to understand where you're coming from, then I believe you build a better relationship with members of the public. And that's what we are trying to do, to build that relationship and that trust with the Bahamian people, have that trust within or for their Royal Bahamas Police Force.
Commissioner, I believe that any CEO or any leader is only as good as the people around him.
Absolutely.
All right. What is the quality of your manpower in terms of those people who you are recruiting from, for example?
Right.
I understand. I have some former police friends who told me that in some cases, I don't know under your administration, that they had to lower the standards for males, because if it didn't, the force would be overrun with women.
No, I would say that.
And also, Commissioner, they said that you got a better quality policeman from the family islands rather than from Newport.
Yes, sir. We have the females and the males are pretty running neck to neck. The females are standing right next to the men. We have some good quality, some excellent females that is presenting themselves. Some come in qualified, well qualified, don't have to take the exams, and they're running neck to neck. If you look at just officers, serving officers on the force, I'm talking about the female. One time ago in the family of violence, as the commander, it only used to be the male, but now you see in the female who was in charge of the family of violence. And then you even saw a deputy commissioner who was a female, Miss Melanie Davis. And
she got a PhD, right?
Miss Mackey now. We have Miss Mackey, Loretta Mackey, who is with us now as the deputy. So you are two females in recent times. But you see the females are neck to neck with the men across the board. Right. In all aspects, you see the females. So kudos to the females as well. Based on the recruitment and the last set of recruitment, the females outdid the male. And what we have done, we have identified those persons who have failed the exams. And a lot of the males who, man, their dream is to join the police force. And they are young people living right within our community. I decided that I will not throw them in the arms of these individuals who will lead them astray. I told the commander of the Urban Renewal to identify all of those individuals who have failed the exams and their desire and their dream is to join the force. He have identified just a little over 100 young men, and he brought them together, and we are having extra classes with them, with a view of them having a second chance in taking the exam. And the portal is open now for young men and women to take the exams, which is scheduled for October. So this crew that is now in class trying to reach that level, they will have an opportunity in October now to take the exam again with a view of trying to join the force. So far, you have over 2,000 applicants.
2,000?
Over 2,000. So you have plenty of the young people who are very much interested in joining this Royal Bahamas Police Force.
That is a positive initiative, Commissioner. When we look at the role of Commissioner, there seems to be a lot of people in this country accept as gospel that when you have a crime problem, you hire a new commissioner and crime is supposed to automatically be eliminated.
No.
But we know better than that.
Yes, yes.
And since you have become commissioner, I'd like to commend you for and they say that you're a crime investigation man, that is your
Yes,
strong suit.
yes.
But since becoming commissioner, there have been instances of crime. For example, there was a murder that would have occurred last week. A body was found, and less than 12 hours later, less than 24 hours later,
Yes.
there were multiple people in police custody
Yes.
pending, the investigation.
Yes.
So, in terms of what makes an effective commissioner, or the qualities of an effective commissioner,
Yes.
what would you say those would be?
Well, you're only as good as the troops around you. You're only as good as the troops around you. I must commend my officers who are out there on the front line on a daily basis, and especially the investigators from the Criminal Investigation Department. And you have a lot of support now because you have the mobile unit, you have the operation team. So they are working together, and the investigators are using them to assist in different lines of inquiry in terms of bringing successful closure to these matters. But you could see that, well, I'm a detective. I grew up in CID. I came into CID on the 21st of May, 84. I went off to England. I spent 3 months in England. I went to a number of training in Florida, and also did a lot locally where we had international instructors came in. But my strong point, as you indicated, I'm a crime fighter, I'm an investigator, and I responsible for a lot of these major matters that successful closure with that, and with a team to be able to do just that. And again, as I said, we could solve any matter, I believe, that comes to our attention, but prevention is the key. That matter you referred to, within hours, we had our man with respect to that investigation. And it's based on relationship with members of the public. Reach out, you approach, and you will get the information.
Commissioner, some law enforcement professionals have a view, sir, that your intelligence section may need some upgrade. I'll tell you why it is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We had a situation where in Andros. I know a little bit about Andros.
Yeah. That's your own.
Right. No, I know.
That's your
I was
own.
a Baintown roots
Good.
when I worked in Andros, right? We all arrested 6 Jamaicans growing marijuana.
Yes.
Now, to grow marijuana in Andros, that you can't hide that, Commissioner.
But you see where the marijuana plants were located.
Right. And the other thing is, the other day we had this catastrophe, this calamity or tragedy, where all these Haitians were killed, and the captain of the boat, Bahamian. Right? And then we had all these guns in the country.
Yes.
Right? Isn't that a reflection on intelligence?
No, you won't be able to, you're not going to hit everything. As if you paid attention to my remarks during the ceremony, I indicated then that we were restructuring our intelligence unit. We continue to upgrade, we continue to train. We have officers now. We have our U.S. partners who are assisting with the training. And we have to continue to step up our game. I'm not happy to that level
point,
to
yeah.
brag about it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we are doing an excellent job in terms of executing, because we are intelligence-driven police force, and we had a lot of success based on our intel. I'm talking about excellent success, and we can only take it to another level. The training have to be continued, and we have to find the right fit in there. You're not going to get all, but the recruitment for the intel is so very important, and then for the assistance in the running of the police force with the operation team. And again, as I said, based on what is going on with all of these different gangs, we should be in position to say, based on who get killed tonight, if we don't pay attention, we almost could tell you who the next victim could be. So we have to be on our game with that, and we've been doing some good job. Now the criminals, they are doing their homework too on the back end. So we have to be a step ahead of them. We continue to see the trend with respect to individuals who get bail, and sometimes hours later or days later they are dead. So obviously they are doing their homework as well.
Right.
So we have to be a couple of steps ahead of them, and we are doing just that to upgrade our intel. That's ongoing as we move and see these trends happening.
Especially when we look at the fact, and you mentioned that there are individuals who are being murdered on bail. We see that almost half of the individuals killed this year are people who were on bail.
Yes.
So much so that you could probably consider a list of people on bail to be a government-sponsored hit list.
Yes.
But when we look at it, Mr. Fernando, that is not the administration of justice in our country. And there are a lot of people who are robbed from achieving justice or from getting justice in these scenarios when individuals take
Matters
into their own hands.
Yes.
So what would be your opinion on, what would you advise the public to do in these situations?
Well, I don't let the law take its course. We know the situation with our system, the backlog and all of that, and people are getting bail. You know, it's hard. It's hard for a family to see the person responsible for the death of their brother, their loved one. You in the food store shopping, and they on bail, and they on the side of you shopping. And it's hard to see that. It's hard to see that, but I will encourage people to trust the system and let it work for them. Let it work for them. We are working, the police force is working hard, because these are the same individuals you charge today, put before the court, get bail, come out, charge. But I'm not going to get in the lane. We're going to continue to do what the police, I'm going to stay in my lane. But we are doing what we're supposed to do. That is to enforce the law, and if any breaches, we arrest and put before the court. But it is sometimes could be vexing, the officers. We arrest an individual, we chase him today, he dropped a bag, checked the bag, there was a handgun. He got away. Later that evening, we found him in a vehicle in another area. And guess what? He had another weapon in his waist. So he was caught with 2 weapons in one day, put before the court.
And they gave him bail?
And he was on bail 2 days later.
Commissioner, I know one of the tasks that you had was the esprit de corps, on the morale of the force.
Yes.
How did you attack that?
Well, when even before I took the chair, you always had, you have some officers who was not happy with what is going on. It was a mix. It was a mix. And then you had some officers just coming off the Hurricane Dorian, and the pandemic. They had loved ones that died. They had colleagues who died. So the morale and they worked. The officers worked. I'm talking about hard during the Hurricane Dorian and even the pandemic. And the morale at some, a fresh administration, you always have a crew here and a crew there. But I sense coming in the chair, I think I rallied the troops and said, look here, gents, ladies, unity is strength. And we are fighting for one goal. And that's to ensure that the Bahamian people and visitors who come to our shore, that they are safe. We have no place else to go. So we have to ensure that we protect this little country, and we have to do it together.
Right.
And I think the morale of the forces at a good level at this time, because they understand what the position is, and we are moving forward to do just that, to make sure that our Bahamian people and our visitors come to the shore are safe.
Right. Commissioner Fernandez and Mr. Enyas, at this point I think we can take our first break. So we'll take our first break on our program, Jones and Company, and we'll be right back.